Hi guys, welcome to a movie fan channel. My name's Tyler. Today's movie review is going to be for Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and the little notification bell. That way you get alerts when I post a new video. Man, if you guys are going to watch this movie and you haven't yet, get a bottle or something to pee in, like a bucket. Do some jumping jacks for your circulation, because goddamn, this movie is 4 hours long. And I'm a big nerd, so I'm like, bring it on. Bring me the 4-hour movie. I want to see a 5-hour, 10-hour Phantom Menace cut, even though that movie sucks too. Bring me all of it. This movie felt justified for me when I saw all the cool fight scenes. They added this big battle, which was awesome, and just every individual little fight that they have with aliens and everything just feels more aggressive. It is more aggressive, this movie. They're swearing, which surprised me. They dropped a couple F-bombs out of nowhere. It feels a little off color. I get that they were going for some kind of darkness to it, but there's still kind of the Marvel humor in it too. So this movie was all over with tones sometimes, but the fight scenes were great. That's what you want, a lot of action in your comic book movies. That's there. I also found it interesting that they put the spotlight on Cyclops and his character. The first movie was just like Batman doing the Nick Fury thing where he's bringing the team together, and that's still obviously a thread of this movie throughout. But Batman isn't kind of the central character driving it. It's more of Cyclops. It's more of his backstory, his family with his father and what he does, his origin story of how he got his powers, and then his actual powers help him with the boxes and stuff and help them, know where everything is. So he's really a driving force of this movie, and I'm glad, because Ray Fisher always felt like he was the least in touch with what his character was, and the least interesting character, Cyclops, that is. So I'm glad that they give him more to do in this one, although in a 4-hour movie, if there's a character that doesn't get enough screen time or shine, like, why is it 4 hours? They did do that good in this film, so I give this film huge props for that, because he was a character that was lacking in the other one. You can tell that there was more there that they cut out or left on the table. I like Cyclops. It's just like, maybe I'm accustomed to the Teen Titans one, but I don't know. He's just so like brooding, but then he'd have jokes about like Wonder Woman being a MILF, and I'm like, what is going on? What's going on here? What are they doing? I don't know, but it was a little bit all over the place. Still not as bad as the original theatrical cut of this movie was, but I also love the Flash and his powers throughout it. When he's using his powers, that's when he's great. When he's running and turning back time for a little bit, and, all the fight scenes where he's running up and, fighting Superman when he can move real fast. That was in the theatrical version. Also, that's when it was good. When he's this quirky, weird, whatever Ezra Miller does, that hasn't affected me yet. Like, maybe if he has his own movie, I'll get into it and I'll be a little bit more charmed with how eccentric he is, but really it just felt he's too over the top and too quirky, and I don't know. I like the show The Flash, and I like The Flash growing up. He was always cracking jokes, so that was never a problem with his character. You'll see that with Batman later on, that I'm like, the joke, it's not working. But with The Flash, it's okay. He's just so awkward and weird that he's making jokes, but it's kind of like at his own expense, and I don't know. It's not my favorite version of The Flash, but he was great in this movie, and you do root for him. You're like, run, Barry, you gotta run. Everything's getting destroyed, and he's boom, 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 flying through. You're rooting for his character, so they did that really, really well. The Batmobile chase with Batman was epic. There's all the bug alien guys flying on his car. I think Ben Affleck is my favorite Bruce Wayne. Michael Keaton was good, obviously. Christopher Nolan's version of Bruce Wayne was awesome, but Ben Affleck, the way they do it, I don't know, something about it, it just screams that Bruce Wayne is the disguise and Batman is the character. But this movie, Batman's a little different. Like I said, he's cracking jokes, and he's in on all the jokes, and usually when Batman makes jokes in any medium, it's at the expense of the bad guy whose ass he's about to kick, and that's not funny to them. It's funny to him, and it's like a dark sense of humor. He might not even verbally laugh, but to himself, he's making this joke so that he's amused by it. But, that's about the extent of Batman's jokes. In this movie, he's like got Rodney Dangerfield lines where he's like, I'm rich and whatever. And we saw that in the theatrical one too. That was something that was always there. But these jokes are just crazy. It's like they're totally trying to emulate Marvel, which isn't a problem if it was geared at the right characters. If it was Cyclops, sometimes there's iterations of his character that joke around. Aquaman, you could probably have jokes. Jason Momoa's pretty funny and like fun and loving. Aquaman, the character, isn't as much. Arthur, in his own film, he is. In Justice League and stuff, he always hasn't been in either one. So I think if it was Flash geared, those Marvel jokes would probably land. I don't know. The Batman ones did not get it for me. This is not the same Bruce Wayne or Batman from BVS. It's totally different. Whatever you think about that movie, I think most people agree that the Batman character and Bruce Wayne were great, and the movie might have been a mess. But in this movie, it's kind of like, he's a totally different person. He shines though. There's moments where it's like, damn, he's Batman, man. Ben Affleck is Batman. That's freaking awesome. So I really want to see his movie. I'm so interested to see what his movie was going to be like. Supposedly it was going to be Deathstroke and whatever, and they kind of teased that at the end. So I want a Ben Affleck version of the Batman. I don't know what DC's doing, what their plan is. They have this Robert Pattinson Batman movie, which looks awesome too. It's a Batman movie. We're all excited for it, and rightfully so. But it's like, here's a Joker movie, here's a Batman movie. They're out of nowhere. And the comics do that, but I don't know. My dad is going to be like, what the hell is... He won't be able to follow that. It's hard to explain. Like, why is this guy Batman? Now he's not. And now the other guy that was Batman before is Batman. It's like weird to people. It's like it's unlinear story. They gotta get a plan, is my opinion. They gotta figure out what they want to do. They gotta have someone in charge to steer the ship and then execute their plan and stick to it. And they're just not doing that. They're all over the place. But I want a Ben Affleck Batman. Jason Momoa has a lot of his like sidekick characters that are in it. We got William Dafoe's character that he played that was like his mentor, and then more of Mira, which is what it is, but that's not essential to this movie. It could have easily been cut out, and it was not something that needed to be added for the extra probably 10 minutes that it took up of this film that, like I said, is 4 hours long. But Wonder Woman, her theme played like in the beginning, which is great. But then every time they showed her, every time they showed the Amazons or Themyscira, they had this Borat type music that played. It was like an old, ancient whatever. And I watched it with subtitles because I've been doing that lately. And it said like ancient whatever. I'll have to look it up and see. I'll post something online about it, something funny. But they had this Borat like screaming music. It was like, ah! I was like, oh my god, this is so annoying, because I laughed at it, I made fun of it, but then every time it would happen, every time they showed her, they would do it again, and I was just like, oh my god, yeah, you couldn't ignore it. Once you knew it was there, you couldn't ignore it. To be fair, when her theme played in Batman vs. Superman, though, the first time, I was like, what is this, like, guitar noise, like, this is stupid. And then I walked out of the theater, and everybody else liked it, and I was like, really? And then I watched the movie 1 or 2 more times, and I was like, okay, this is kind of cool. And then the trailer came out for Wonder Woman, and I was like, this is really cool. And then I watched the movie, and I was like, oh, there it is. And now every time I hear it, that's just an awesome theme. Maybe I'll come around to the Borat screaming in this music. I don't think so. I do think that this movie did Superman really well. He's coming back to life. If you've seen the other one, or even if you don't, it's like, come on, man, Superman's dead. He comes back to life, but I still teared up. I think it's because of how good the Man of Steel cast is. Honestly, with Diane Lane and all that, man. Lois was great, and they just did everything right. The added scenes that we got of that were awesome, too, because I'm such a big fan. I like when they wheeled the casket into the Kryptonian ship, and all the costumes come out, and I think it was the Flash said, they know he's here. Like, they know he's back. And that was really cool. And then when he came back to life, they had the voice of his fathers, from both his Kryptonian father and his human father, Jonathan Kent, talking, and they're awesome quotes from Man of Steel. That was really moving too. And you're just like, yeah, Superman's going to come and kick some ass. And he's got the black suit, which I think was a cool change. There's some things that were really cool that I'm glad they added. We got a good benefit from that, and that was one of them. The black suit was friggin' cool. The big battle with Darkseid, Ares, Zeus, and the Green Lantern and everything, all the big armies, the Amazons and the Atlanteans and everything, that was awesome. Martian Manhunter was really cool as well. I loved the actor that played Harold Cooper in The Blacklist was Martian Manhunter. Not the most necessary thing. He didn't have to be in there. The extra stuff with Joe Manganiello was Deathstroke, Lex Luthor, who I don't like. Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I don't think that's a good fit. He's just weird and quirky and eccentric, and that's kind of too out there when especially you got Jared Leto doing fucking weird Joker shit that he does, and you know what I mean? Everybody's weird. Like, the Flash is weird. Like, why is everybody so weird? So those scenes with all those villains and everything, and that post-apocalyptic timeline and all that, that's cool. Hindsight being 2020, they were seemingly building up to a second Justice League movie or, you know, future films. It just didn't have any relevance to this film. It felt like a totally different movie, a possibly better movie that I really badly want to see, but still, there were changes and stuff that didn't fit, and it just made it more convoluted. And I was like, why is this in this movie when this should probably be its own film? It's like they just took everything that was on the cutting room floor and were like, we're probably not going to do anything with this. Let's just give it to everybody so that they have a chance to see it, because otherwise they never will. They could have put it on a DVD or something and done that, or you could just do the fucking sequel to Justice League. You know, whether you have Zack Snyder do it or whoever, it doesn't really matter to me. Do that movie and make it its own movie and have two 2-hour movies. And, you know, everybody's like, what's the deal with the length or whatever? I got a small bladder, all right? No, I'm kidding. It's just the pace of this. It's like, think about all the things that were in here that didn't have to be in here, didn't lead to anything, slowed down the movie, made it drag, made you forget about plot points that were going on, and you're like, oh yeah, we gotta do that. And like, here's 800 scenes of Jim Gordon, who's an awesome character, played by a great actor. Why did they have to have that in there? You know what I mean? It didn't do anything extra. So for every, like, one thing that's cool, like the Superman suit, and everything that was kind of a necessary change, like the Cyclops stuff that added and contributed to the plot and helped you understand some of the convolutedness, there were new problems that came in that were like, this is muddying the waters up even more. So if you look at it as a spectrum, right? Here is Suicide Squad on this end, right? Too much editing. When you do too much editing and you have a trailer company come in and edit the movie and it plays Without Me, the Eminem song, for 5 seconds for no reason while they're getting dressed, and then it plays another song a second after that for 5 seconds, it's like, what is going on? That's too much editing. That could be bad. Too little editing leaves you with a 4-hour movie. And this movie is better than Suicide Squad, but it's equally a problem. If you don't edit the movie enough, you're just vomiting everything out that you shot. You gotta cut some stuff down. Martin Scorsese did The Irishman for 3 hours. That movie would have been even more had he not edited stuff out. And I think Mel Gibson had said that his stuff that he shot and choosing what to keep in the movie, I think this was for, what the hell is that, Braveheart. He was like, whatever I had to cut out felt like I was like choosing between my kids, like the scene. So I get the attachment to that stuff, and they wanted to show us that because otherwise they probably wouldn't have. We probably wouldn't have got to see Zeus fight Darkseid and all this stuff, but it doesn't help the movie. Yes, it's not going into the theaters, so it doesn't need that small runtime. But generally, for an action movie to be 2 hours, that's like the sweet spot. That's what you want. You can play it on the most showings. It flies by, generally, if it's paced right. And it just feels like that's the length that it should be. For like a horror or comedy, 90 minutes will be okay. You know, and that's like an unwritten rule, but it's generally followed because these guidelines are like a time-tested, proven thing. It's just, that's what works. It flows better that way. You can sit, it's digestible, people want to go to that, older people can sit and watch it and not have to pee 100 times. You don't have to pause it, you don't have to break it up into chapters, so you're like, okay, I'll watch chapter 3 next Tuesday. It's like, that's not, you want to be able to sit down and watch a movie. You know, if that doesn't bother you, it doesn't bother you. I think there's still issues with this movie, and, you know, we can admit that, but to me, I think not editing enough is also a problem. And I love Zack Snyder. I respect him. If he never comes back and does another movie, I would be all right with that in the DC universe. But I think the DC universe could go on without him too. If you look at Aquaman with James Wan, Patty Jenkins, what she did for Wonder Woman, I think James Gunn's Suicide Squad is going to be pretty good. I have faith in that, even though the first Suicide Squad sucked. Different people are involved and stuff. Hopefully this will be better, and he's a great director, so we'll see. If Zack Snyder comes back and does Justice League 2, I'd be just as happy. I think that they should keep this cast of characters going. Henry Cavill is on par with Christopher Reeves, in my opinion. Honestly, he's embodies Superman. He is Superman to me. So you gotta keep this cast because Ben Affleck's great. What Jason Momoa is doing to establish Aquaman and not make him like a nerdy thing that you make fun of is just crazy. He makes it so cool. What Gal Gadot is doing for Wonder Woman, inspiring little girls, and she should be able to have that and run with that. And look how much money these movies made. It's just like you gotta keep these. You gotta have like a good Flash movie. They haven't even done a Flash movie like ever. You gotta do it. You just keep this going. You need a concrete plan though. They gotta sit down, figure out what they're gonna do, and then do it. Star Wars kind of reassessed. They were like, okay, we're bouncing all around the timeline. We have no idea what we're gonna do. We're bringing in 12 different directors. You know, maybe they should have had J.J. Abrams direct all 3, and there's people that right now screaming at me on the screen, but if Zack Snyder did all of these movies, didn't step away, they had a proper plan in place, they gave him guidelines that he had to stay within, or like a destination to get to, give him the creative freedom that he needs, and I think it would have been alright. Any good director would be able to work within that. Any good studio would be able to make that relationship work, and, you know, if you have a good plan, you know, you stick to that plan. You don't change when some people don't like it, because one bad movie won't kill it. Look at they're cranking out other shit when Suicide Squad was hot garbage. So, I don't know. Let me know what you guys thought, though. I thought this movie was great. I'm glad we got it. It was just really long. A lot could have been cut out, maybe moved around. I don't think so. I think they just vomited a lot onto this movie, and they could have cut a lot out, but I do think that it redeemed some of the other movie, which just felt like there were clear things missing. So let me know what you guys thought, and like I said, give me a thumbs up down below, hit subscribe, and comment down below. I'm also very active in the comments and on social media, so I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what movies you want me to review, what you think of the movies I am reviewing. I like to have that discussion going because I'm pretty active, like I said, down there in the comment section. So I will see you guys in the next video.